This is the Veemo, and yes, it's a little weird, but it is a bicycle. No license, registration, or insurance required. Okay, I'm really here to show you the Veemo right here, but this video is sponsored by Lulin. They sent me this little drone. More on that a little bit later. This is the Veemo from Envo Drive, and yes, it is an electric bicycle. It has 3 wheels, which is legal. It has a 750 watt motor. It does have pedals as well as a throttle, so it's a class 2 bike. Of course, there's some obvious differences here. It's enclosed. We have a windshield wiper. I've got mirrors, I've got a roof, a storage area behind the seat. This thing has full suspension, basically a single fork tube on each front wheel, a coil shock in the rear. You have disc brakes on all 3 wheels, and I'm gonna get the big thing out of the way right up front, which is the price. These are currently selling for $6,999. Now that might seem like a lot if you just look at the specs on paper, but this really is something unique, and it's really less of an e-bike and more of a year-round bike that could be a car replacement sort of thing. So I think it makes sense. Is it gonna catch on? I don't know. There's been companies that have produced things like this in the past that have struggled to get them to market and keep them selling. Most of those, however, I think have been way too expensive, over $10,000. I think this is the first time we're seeing an electric velomobile, a semi-recumbent, semi-aerodynamic electric vehicle that requires no license, no registration, no insurance, that has a price tag that's not totally ridiculous. I believe in the idea of this enough that I went ahead and bought this. So hopefully someone out there wants to buy it from Area 13, or at least that's what I would have said if I didn't already have a buyer lined up. That's right, before I even made this video, somebody that came into our shop saw this, loved it, and they're gonna pick it up tomorrow. So to my surprise, this was easier to sell than I thought. And I think that's because if you see it in person and you sit in it, there are a lot of things to like. Of course, like I said, there's the obvious, the fact that it's enclosed, but the real advantage, I think, of that is the fact that you could actually use this thing year-round, rain or shine, and it would be quite comfortable. Now, no, there are not doors that come on this, but I'm sure that could be something that could be added in the future, or we might be able to fabricate something for that. But there's a lot of little nice touches for the rain. I mentioned, of course, the fact that it has a windshield wiper, and it is huge. This is like a windshield wiper you would see on a car. Now, if we look at the windshield and the side panels here, you can see they have basically this small little rain gutter, so the rain is not gonna just drip off the sides right onto you. It's actually gonna get caught in this channel and either run off the back or down off the front. You've got fenders on the rear wheels, fenders on the back wheel, and then of course it's enclosed as well, so that's preventing it really just from splashing up onto the body. It's still not gonna get you wet. You've got tail lights built in, which of course are brake lights. Dual headlights, that kind of gives it like a little bit of a face in the front here. Kind of like the look of that. Very interesting steering geometry. You can see a bit of camber to those front wheels. And then if we come around, I can show you the suspension. This is quite interesting. There's not a lot on this that uses normal bike parts. This is the one thing that's kind of a bike part or something similar. It looks like a single side of a fork tube. I don't know what these are originally from. Then you're using pretty standard bicycle disc brakes, but with a rather heavy duty caliper. And you do have 2 of those up front. And of course, no video is complete without a dyno run, no matter how weird or awkward it is. Most trikes we gotta set up in a strange way. This is gonna work for this one, I think. I'm gonna try and hold it back while I run the throttle up. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Easy. I definitely felt the cutoff at 20 miles an hour, which is a legal class 2 bike. I'll check the chart and see if it's accurate. It says 605 watts, 17.6 pound-feet of torque. A little lower than I was hoping for, because I was hoping we were getting 750, because there's different versions of this depending on what country it's going to, and the US version is supposed to be 750 watts. So I'm gonna reach out to Veemo and see if this is correct for the US model, and I'll update you with what I find out before I release this video. So I was able to talk to Envo Drive about this, and it turns out you can adjust the current limit from the display if you have the password for the advanced settings. Now, I didn't have it when I first recorded this video, and I did deliver this to a local customer. So I wasn't able to redo the dyno run yet, but next time the Veemo is in for service, I'm gonna tweak the settings, turn the power up a little bit. That'll be great for the dyno run and of course for our customer on our local hills. So stay tuned for official dyno numbers. Customer also may wanna make some little modifications to this in the future, which I'd be happy to help them with. So maybe I'll have a future video on not only the real power settings for the US version of this bike, but also maybe some alternative charging options.
You gonna ride that thing around town?
Yep.
Alright.
I'm definitely noticing less of a breeze already, which is kind of hot out, but you know, you still got a little from the sides. I don't know, maybe on a hot day I'd kind of prefer not to be so enclosed, but I can definitely see how this would be really nice on a super cold day. And I tried adjusting my brakes a little bit. One of them's still a little bit noisy. It's got to brake in a little bit more, I think. Just rubbing just ever so slightly. So here we are on the hill going out of the parking lot. And this feels about like I expected for the power that this thing put out on the dyno. But in a way it feels more comfortable, even though you're going kind of slow, because you're on 3 wheels. You're not having to worry about your balance or anything by going slow. You can just go slow. It doesn't matter. Everybody smiles when they see this thing. They love it. I think that's one of the better things about it is the reactions you get from people that see it. So there have been things like this in the past. And like I said, none of them ever really took off. Most of them I feel like was due to price. But there's one other reason I think they didn't take off. We weren't ready for it. Like e-bikes were still in the early stages of mass adoption. And so the idea of this electric thing that you ride on the road just, I don't know, it was foreign. It was too weird of an idea. But now everybody knows what e-bikes are, they get it, and they're not afraid of them, I guess you would say. If you're watching this, there's a good chance you already have an e-bike, so it's kind of a no-brainer. Like, you get an e-bike, and it's hard to imagine living without one, really, because you use it so often compared to a normal bicycle. So why not just take the extra step and use it year-round as an actual car replacement? And your car is really just reserved for long trips. Hello, Bryson. It's Kyle. I have a favor if someone is available at the shop to leave for a few minutes. So my rear brake on this Veemo is kind of like locked up real tight, and I didn't bring any tools with me. I need like a 5mm wrench and a zip tie might be a good idea. Oh, hey. Okay, so the dial on the right brake, maybe somebody in the shop messed with it or something, because people do sit in this thing. We've had it on display for a while. It was cranked in really tight, so the rear brake was dragging this entire time. Basically, it caused the brakes to overheat, boil up, and completely lock up. So I thought I was losing power, when in reality, I was not losing any power at all. This thing was just struggling to go because the rear brake was on. Go figure. So we'll chalk that up to user error. I adjusted the front brakes, or was trying to, and the back one felt fine, I thought. And clearly it wasn't. Okay. That feels much better. Although, to let it cool off, I am going to try and actually focus on using the front brakes for a little bit, so it has a chance to cool down some more. All right, so how does this thing handle in a turn? Well, here's a roundabout. Whoa! That is like the exact kind of turn you don't want to do, which is a constant 360. I got the inside wheel to lift up a little bit. All right, so here's a really awful road. This is gonna be a good test for the full suspension of this thing. We're looking for a couple of things, not just is it comfortable, but also is there any weird tendencies like bump steer, which is something you have when you have a more complicated front end with two wheels. And I have to say, it is handling this like a champ. Oh look, a fellow three-wheeled bike. Yeah. Speed bump. Actually handles bumps like really nice. You don't even feel them. You would think that maybe it'd be worse than a normal bike, because on a bicycle you can kind of like stand up, and this you're just sitting, but it doesn't mind at all to hit some bumps. All right, stop sign. So we got to get going up a hill, and this is a bad one. I was gonna say this is the steepest possible hill, but this one is really steep. So I think it's gonna be a struggle, to be honest. So we're gonna shift down to 1. We got pedal assist in 5, throttle on. And we're cranking up the hill. Oh, and this guy's taking a video of me. That's hilarious. It just makes people smile. They're like, what is that? Okay, I'm pedaling, getting a workout. We're crawling up the hill at 6 kilometers an hour, because I didn't change this to miles per hour yet. What if I stop pedaling? Ooh, really crawling. I don't want to stop. I'm gonna keep cranking up the hill. I have a car behind me too. Here we go, we made it to the top. All right, so, I mean, you can do it. Gotta put a little effort in. I've been so interested in riding this thing that I haven't really talked about the specs very much. So it's nothing terribly impressive. This is a 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery. So pretty standard bicycle stuff, standard e-bike stuff, not standard for a bicycle. But so the range isn't anything crazy. Now, of course, in theory, this shell could give you some aerodynamic benefits, but it's a little bit heavy too, so it's probably going to be about the same as what you would get on any other electric bike. Which I would say for this size battery, 20 to 30 miles in hills like we have here in Grass Valley. If you're in a flat area, I think 30, 40 miles is realistic. 50 only if you're pedaling a lot. But it is fun. Now this is only a one-seater, but you do have some really nice storage behind the seat here. And the seat has a lever underneath, so it's adjustable. You can slide forward and back for different rider heights. The turning radius, I would say, could be a little better, but I can see why they've limited the steering to what it is, because if it turns too tight, honestly, this thing could tip over. So it's set up correctly. So yeah, this thing's a little quirky, a little weird, but I think the world is finally ready for it. So remember this one. It's the Veemo. And if you're really interested in checking one of these out, I will put a link in the description. Turn. Wait, I can do that.